I don't really have any expectations. Like, I'm not trying to get something from people. A lot of people that are networking, they're like, how can you serve me right now? How can I get what I want now? That's not the right mindset for connecting and business in general, in my opinion. It's more about how can I help other people while doing business with them. I like to do business. It's fun. But the majority of people you meet, in networking or in business in general, you're not going to end up doing business, but they may have a connection that they can introduce you to in the future. And yeah, I think people really look at business a lot more transactional.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to have the right mindset.
This is a very healthy way of approaching networking, especially not having expectations, because then you don't have a reason to feel bad about any reaction or even non-reaction. Because, a lot of times even happens to me that I just forget to answer a WhatsApp message or whatever. And it's not meant in a bad way, but sometimes I'm just overwhelmed of, all the different thousands of channels that come to my desk. And I just try to focus, especially when I'm, focusing on a project. Yeah, sometimes it's just too much. And if you don't expect anything back, I think it's a very healthy base for like a future friendship or business partnership. As a serial entrepreneur, I'm always trying to evolve. Having great conversations with other high performers is one of the best ways to grow, not only in business, but also in spirit, health, and relationships. This is Svencast. Listen, grow, repeat. One superpower you have, in my opinion, is you're a great networker. You're really great at networking. And you combine that with your lifestyle of traveling a lot, which is great. How do you do this? How do you approach the topic of networking? Because at the same time, in my opinion, you're not so much of an extrovert person. So you're not like a big talker, but you seem to be connected with anyone in the world. How do you do that?
Well, I think a lot of it is mindset. I like to meet people and hang out with people and see the best in most people. I don't really look. I'm not really so critical of people. And so I think it's more kind of a mindset thing. Like, I just like to connect with people. I kind of consider people my friends, like, immediately, without knowing them too much. And so, even if somebody meets me, in some business setting, we talk for an hour or a few minutes on, and have like a real conversation, I could consider them kind of my friend, even though they might not think the same way of me. And so generally, you, especially like in business or in different circles, you see the same people, over and over. And you may not be like great friends with them, but like they could at least be like good acquaintances. And so, if you're friendly to people, then, okay, I may not have much to, talk, much in common or much things to do in business now, but I could call you up 3 years later and just ask you a question, and they're going to take my call because, they had a good impression of me or they liked me for some reason or whatever.
Yeah, I heard that a lot about you. And I think it's a great asset for our company, and it's a great thing in general. How do you make sure that they remember you? Are you giving them, business cards or?
Yeah, I like to give out business cards. It can be kind of tacky sometimes, but I think it's nice to have business cards still. But yeah, I would say like actually like exchanging, if you're networking with somebody, actually, don't just give people your number, get their number as well, because most people aren't going to, even if they like you, people aren't going to take initiative and call you. But if you take initiative to call them, then, they're open to exchanging ideas or doing business or connecting. So yeah, like I also I don't really have any expectations. Like I'm not trying to get something from people. A lot of people that are networking, they're like, how can you serve me right now? How can I get what I want now? And that's not the right mindset for connecting and business in general, in my opinion. It's more about, how can I help other people, with, while doing business with them. So, I like to do business. It's fun, but the majority of people you meet, in networking or in business in general, you're not going to end up doing business, but they may have a connection, that they can introduce you to in the future. And yeah, I think people really look at business a lot more transactional. And so I think it's important to have the right mindset.
Yeah, totally. I think this is a very healthy way of approaching networking, especially not having expectations, because then you don't have a reason to feel bad about any reaction or even non-reaction. Because a lot of times it even happens to me that I just forget to answer a WhatsApp message or whatever, and it's not meant in a bad way, but sometimes I'm just overwhelmed of all the different thousands of channels that come to my desk, and sometimes I just try to focus, especially when I'm focusing on a project, and sometimes it's just too much. And if you don't expect anything back, then I think it's a very healthy base for like a future friendship or business partnership. And also with us, it was like we've known each other for I think it was almost 10 years before we started getting into a business partnership.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's not good to burn bridges in business or life in general, because you could meet somebody who has nothing in common with you, nothing to do with you, many years, like 10 years ago or 15 or whatever. And then for whatever reason, you reconnect again and you could do business together. And I've had numerous opportunities in our industry where, I might have just met somebody. Maybe I am not super good friends with them, but, we like each other, or we have mutual respect for each other. And then, they happen to be in this position or that position, and they can, help you do business or help you, with some connection or something like that. So I think it's important I think there's a lot of opportunity out there to not be so. I don't think that you in business in general you want to burn too many bridges, because you can really benefit in lots of ways from all the connections that you have, not just in business but personally.
Yeah, totally. And I think people feel that, and then when people feel that, they have a really good feeling in each and every interaction, and especially when you have written communication, things can be interpreted between the lines, and if you're not trying to suck their energy, or if you don't have like any let's say if you're not insulted without them knowing, even whatever, then they feel it, and then networking will be a lot easier. So as like my final question, especially for you, for this podcast is, you have seen the whole world. What would be your top 3 travel destinations that you recommend the most, except for Miami, Florida?
My top 3 travel recommendations would be Japan, New Zealand, and probably Switzerland.
Why those?
Those are 3 of my favorite places. I really love beautiful places, and I think New Zealand's probably the most beautiful country I've ever been to. And I also, I'm a big skier, so skiing originally took me to all 3 of those destinations. And in in the summer you can ski in New Zealand, like our US summer, you can go skiing there. And it's very beautiful. But I really like I probably like the cultures a lot because they're very friendly. In Japan, like Japan is super clean. The people are super nice, and polite.
They're like the Midwest.
Yeah,
they're like the Midwest.
Like
they're
Midwest.
overly, they're overly polite.
Yeah. New Zealand people are super polite. The culture is kind of, at least outside of like the big cities, the culture is, very kind of small town almost. So I don't know, I grew up in kind of like smaller towns, not huge cities. But I live in a lot of big cities now. And so I kind of, like that feeling too. I could go on and on about all the different places. Those are probably my top 3.
Francis, it was great talking to you. Thanks for your time and looking forward to next time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and never miss an episode of Svencast again.